This season, we're back.
Way back, Frank. Like to the original franchise.
To the stories that built everything.
We're talking heroes, warriors, gods, and absolutely no kings.
No kid. Or at least people who said they were.
That's right, because we're talking about Troy, 300, maybe the Prince of Egypt, Hero, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Mulan, the Woman King. I can go on and on.
Oh, and don't forget Black Panther, baby, Wakanda Forever. We're looking at China, Japan, Africa, Rome, Greece. We're trying to span the ancient globe.
And I'm going to explain to you why Achilles is the GOAT.
Goatish. He's goatish. And we could talk about how heroes have been having the same problem since Mr. Achilles.
That's fair, because we're going to have assassins, warriors, emperor builders, and once again, absolutely no kings.
And also, most importantly, we're going to have one guy and a crew, but one guy trying to get home. That's our boy, Odysseus.
Baby, I'm excited.
Yep. So this is season 4 of the Fiction Podcast. Bum, the ancient world, baby. Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be exciting.
Cheers.
This is going to be exciting.
Well, listen, that was new for us. So we wanted to start season 4 off with a bang. We're cooking. In other words, season 4. This is our preview promo episode. Not only are we live on the podcast audio, but we are visual, baby. Visual. You get to see all the craziness, the movements, the weird faces, the background. We're here. We're here for it all.
I don't know how I feel about it, but here we are.
Yeah, So we're excited, really, really excited. Like we say that all the time, but I mean, we started this podcast because of our love for world building and storytelling. But you guys both know that Jessica and I are classical studies majors, and that sort of started this trajectory for us way back when. So we do have a love for ancient cultures and society, primarily because we are biased because we were classical studies majors, the ancient Mediterranean. And it just so happens that Christopher Nolan, the G, right? Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
one of the, not to be fair, I can't say one of the GOATs because that's a debate on his own, but he knows what he's doing.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah. He's coming out with the Odyssey, July 2026. When we knew that was happening, we saw the slate of the cast, the characters. We were just, let's go.
And any excuse that you and I could come up with to talk about the ancient world was it was already ready-made. So, I mean, it was there. We just needed a little nudge in the right direction so we could claim this was still very current, which it is. But now we get to bring in all these topics that we really want to talk about. So very excited.
Exactly. I mean, I think the fun thing about it, right, is like story building is a wheel, right? Yes, someone started first, but no one really invented this brand or that brand. We're going to say Homer, right? We're going to talk about Homer's The Iliad, Homer's Odyssey, because that is something that we as Westerners, right, in this Western culture, we identify with, like one of the earliest storytellers, right? But, the same way as we do when we look about Shakespeare, like we see Shakespeare for that era in storytelling. But it's a wheel and everything is reinvented, everything is recreated. So we're going to look at this through the lens of the ancient Mediterranean cultures and look at the Iliad and the Odyssey and span outwards in our view of sort of the story about the hero, about the legends, about the myths, and really tie it down to like who is a legend, who is a hero.
Yeah, and and I'll give you all the credit for this. As easy it is for us to stay in that ancient Mediterranean world, because it's what both of us were very passionate about, still are, but you really challenged us to really try to push some other stories and make sure we're looking for other heroes, and a lot that you'll have heard of, some that you might not have. And I think we'll do our best to really get outside there and not just stick around the Mediterranean, though there's going to be a lot. Lot of talk around that Mediterranean.
And I think what we do, like we usually do, is we'll probably name drop a lot of things, right? That influence some of that story building, world building kind of framework from that culture span. But we are testing and pushing ourselves to expand, right? I mean, I think it's be fun that we'll hit some of the themes through Asia. We're going to try and hit some themes through Africa. I'm going to mention this again when we talk about some of the movies or stories that, or novels that we have that depict African culture, is that there really isn't that much in mainstream Hollywood. They can be, there should be, but there isn't. So we took executive licenses there and there. So as we do in
As
everything,
always,
as
it's our
always,
podcast. We can do whatever we want with it.
exactly.
It's the best
So
part.
exactly. So we are talking about the ancient world, and we're putting that in really big air quotes. And you get to see me in the air quotes if you're watching on YouTube, right? We're looking at it through the lens of hero craft, myth making, legend making, all that as we start through Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. Our main focus is going to be the Odyssey, right? Coming out July 2026. That's going to be our main focus. We're going to climax at that episode. I just didn't know where you're going to go after I said that. So I had to take a pause just to look
You
at you
can't set me
sideways.
up like that.
So we're gonna frame everything from there. So we're gonna start by talking about the Iliad and the Odyssey, the poems by Homer. We're gonna bring in some rock star guest hosts to help us navigate that avenue. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build up. We're going to build up by building that legacy, building that framework. So we're going to hit works that talk about the quintessential hero, the quintessential issue that kind of builds on that framework. So Troy, 300, The Prince of Egypt. We're going to start there.
Yep. No, I'm excited. Our guests, man, we're bringing not just rock stars. We're bringing in home run hitters. See what I did there? Yeah, you just didn't want me to.
Did
No,
you not?
I'm
Did you need
just.
to drink another? Just take another sip.
I am so excited. No, I am very excited. I would love to say you can all see how it all started and where we came from, but then I feel like they might not want to own that. So
No,
we'll just let them
we'll
decide.
let them
We'll just let
decide,
them decide.
and then we'll jump on that bandwagon if it's a good place
Oh
to be.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we'll start there. We'll start with the written works, the poems. We'll hit some of those movies. Then we're going to expand further out. The executive license that we're going to take is when we say the ancient world, we're talking about themes, myths, and legends that sort of work their way, frame their way up with discussings of ancient culture. So, like I said, with Africa, there are not that many mainstream movies and even fantasy that really kind of center themselves around Africa. But we're going to hit one book and then we're going to hit two movies, mate, probably. So, The Woman King and Black Panther. You're going to be asking yourself, why? We'll explain more. But obviously, King is centered around some of the cultures like Rwanda, the Dahomey and like things like that sort of span through ancient African cultures in the West South region, right? Black Panther, obviously, listen, it's Wakanda. Everyone is on the Wakanda train, but Wakanda's fake. We all know that.
Is it?
Is it? Yeah,
I
good.
mean,
I wanted you
is
wanted
it?
there, but
Is it?
but again, the idea about it, the myth making about it, stems from looking at some of the great African cultures of old, bringing that in, and working off of that. So we're going to work off some themes through that depiction, and then obviously we're going to hit Asia. So we're thinking of a couple of fun ones. So we might do Mulan.
Very excited.
I mean that
I'm so excited.
that's just a
To be
fun one.
to be clear, we will not be doing the live action. We will be doing the cartoon. I
Correct.
want to make sure that's
No,
clear
that's Crystal.
because
That's
it's going to be
Crystal.
amazing.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yep. We've got Hero. We've got Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and we're thinking maybe we might do. Was it not Rashomon? I'm going to do Yojimbo. I think that's the one that we might do. If you haven't seen any works by that director who did Rashomon, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai, all that stuff, you have to. So we're going to expand and we're going to keep the movies or the books. I think we're going to do maybe two, maybe three books themed up. But the whole idea is sort of exploring the ancient world, ancient cultures around the whole hero montage, the whole who was a hero kind of theme, starting with the quintessential Homeric heroes and working our way forward.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got.
You know what? In the words of Samuel L. Jackson, hold on to your butts because
Yeah.
this is going to be sweet.
I mean, he's got a lot of words. I didn't know. I didn't know which words you were going.
Of the two of us, I do the best job of watching the language after you lectured me from our first episode telling me to watch the language.
Listen. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any receipts
Yeah.
about that.
I do. It's in my notebook. It literally says, Frank says, watch your language.
Some other Frank.
Yeah.
But But no, we are again. We're super excited. As we rock and roll through these episodes, we'll probably tap the shoulders of some of our past guest hosts who've come on. Might get some new ones, but it's just going to be fun for us because I think this is something that really gets us geeked out because it allows us to really talk about world building in a way that relates back to some of the things that started getting us geeked up about the ancient world and about different worlds in general when you think about ancient cultures. So we hope
Well,
you. Okay.
also when we talk about if you've stayed with us since the start, or if you've gone back and listened to season one, and we talk about how Frank and I really did bond and have a good time over Harry Potter when that was released in college.
Mhm.
This is going back even more original for us into what some of our first courses were in college and what we talked about. And so this really gets to the root of some, deep seated interest for the two of us. And so we're really going all the way back. So I'm very excited.
Deep-seated nerdism, but that's what we got to do, man. You just gotta
And it's gonna be awesome.
gotta unearth it in therapy, get it all out, and explore the roots
It's
of
gonna be
it,
so good.
and just go through it. But no, that's one thing that's getting us excited. Obviously, this season we're exploring different avenues, so we're going to be on YouTube, so you can follow us and like us there. We're still going to be on Apple Podcasts and going to be on Spotify as usual. And this is
I'm
harder
not
for
doing a
Justin.
s- I'm not doing a single sign off. You keep adding things. You took away
Yeah.
iTunes, and now I'm all
Yeah,
flustered.
well, now that we went to the dark side of the moon, we're also going to be airing on the dark side of the moon for folks who are, having the next trip out there. We'll be there for you as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Uh,
Perfect.
but no, yeah, we kid. But we wanted to just kick this off by sort of like sharing our excitement. And then so this is episode 0, cooking season 4. If there are other things, right? If you're sort of really jazzed about other movies, we might not do series because that's a little too long, but we're gonna give a shout out to a couple of series in particular, a lot that are exploring the ancient Mediterranean culture that we really like. There are a couple of book series that we might just talk about one book in that series. But if there's books or movies or even TV shows that you really think hits on these themes, send us a message. You can drop us a note at the Fiction Podcast on Instagram, and you can send us an email at thefictionpodcast@gmail.com. It's still early in the game. As long as it's not
Yeah,
too much homework for us, we might include it if we think it works, right?
I
Movies are a
did
lot
say,
easier, if it's not too
yeah,
much homework.
I did say it's our podcast. We can do whatever we want with
Do
it.
what we want. We'll
So,
we'll fit the
so
theme. We'll fit the theme.
yeah. So
Yeah.
slide into Frank's DMs. Does YouTube have direct messaging? Can you slide into them there
I don't
on
think so.
Instagram and on YouTube
I
now? Oh,
don't.
there's definitely
I,
messaging
I
on YouTube.
might I might actually drop Instagram just so you can't say that anymore.
Slide slide into Frank's comment section on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Well,
I'll do whatever I have to.
before we sign off, though, I mean, we are going to talk about the Iliad and the Odyssey in our next episode, our full episode. But we are bringing in two guests who know that like probably the back of their hand and are going to be able to really sort of dissect it. Not like we're going to go chapter by chapter, but just overviews where people can be excited about the themes that they bring. But since that's going to be their episode in a way that like they get to tell us about who they are and why that excites them, maybe we should use just a minute of before we sign off, just kind of talking about for us why those works do excite us and like the whole concept of it. Because I will say before we do that, rereading the Iliad and the Odyssey, it is not for everyone. And I will be completely okay if you tell me, Frank, I ain't reading that. I get you. Trust me, I get you. But there's something magical about those poems and about what it's inspired that I want you to at least come away with. So I get you either way, but hear us out. So Justin, do you want to take the first cut?
Yeah, I will say though, you made me really nervous. Now, like I got to study up for that next
You
episode. I
better.
got to really pull
You
myself
better.
together. I read the, I read. Well, I'll tell that story later. I read the Aeneid not too long ago, but no, I love. I mean, that was my first course in college was Homer and the Trojan War, and I I loved history before that, but then I kind of fell in love with classics just from that class alone. So a little bit of crossing the whimsy of storytelling and fiction and what blends it between that and the history that people believe just is really there. And I think that I think Homer's the original, right? I mean, I said the original franchise when we introed it, and that's what I really think it is. And I think most modern day storytelling is told from those books and from those stories, and takes a lot of the hero journey and brings that into it, and just makes you question a lot about character building and goes through all of that. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And then obviously Odysseus's journey home and what he goes through and how that just impacts. If you really wanted to take, like I said, the hero journey and go back, this is probably where it all starts, at least in my mind. And so I absolutely love it. It's the original franchise in my mind, but I'm sure there's something else out there that you could convince me is on the list at least. But I would say this is, for me, this is where it all started, and it started my love for classics and kept a love for learning, but also love for reading, and it has carried me through all these years. And I still go back and read those books. So every now and then, I pick them up with all of my notes from college in them, and I still reread them.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the heck I was thinking when I wrote something down.
No, I agree with you. I'll say ditto for majority of what you said. I mean, there are some other works out there that, but again, we're focusing on Homer and his poems here. But no, I think for me, it's like it's not necessary using it and contextualizing it to current day reading, right? Because you read the Bible, you read Tolkien, you read The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Some of the other stuff, it reads and hits differently, right? It's just different times, mate. So I actually do appreciate that I'm going to put this again in air quotes, forced to read it as a classical studies major and have professors who are able to work through like these poems and others, right? Like, and give you context and give you the excitement about what the poems are doing and why they're so important. And obviously, in our current society, these heroes, these names have echoed through time, right? So there's a reason for that. So that is for me, like, it's like I have the nostalgia. Nostalgia is a lot for me. People keeping up with me. Nostalgia points hit. So I have that, but I think having the context and having those layers really help. So the last thing that I will say is we hope to give you some of that context in our next episode. And as we run through these movies and books, we hope that those layers start to thread together. That does get you excited, at least one, about the ancient world, and two, exploring something that you haven't explored before.
You know what gets me excited that has layers?
Is it parfait?
Parfait.
How did I know? How did I know? Nice, nice. Well, that's all I have, man. That's all I have. Any signing offs from you?
2 words. Can't wait.
All right. I can't either. So cheers to next time, and we'll see you when we talk about Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey.